Gift of the Givers has offered assistance to the Kakamas community in the Northern Cape. It comes after 7 people died of heat stroke. The organisation has provided bottled water and JoJo tanks to the residents. To discuss this further, we are now joined by Imtiaz Sooliman from the Gift of the Givers. Good evening, Imtiaz. Thank you very much for joining us here on Newsnight. Just talk us through that initial communication and request from the community. What was said?
Good evening, Abigail. The calls came in yesterday evening. My teams were at the airport. They had come to Maritzburg for a program, and at the airport they started getting these calls. And generally, we are quite well known in the area. We've worked in Kakamas, in Kakamas, in Uppington, in Kuruman, in many areas. But from Kakamas, the calls came from the mayor, the community workers, the community leaders, and ordinary people. And then the calls started coming in numbers. And we asked, what's the problem? And they said they've got a water crisis and a heat crisis. People are dying from heat stroke. At that point, first 5 people had passed on, and thereafter another 2 had passed on in the hospital. But those 7 people who passed on were from Kuruman. So we said, what's the exact problem? There is water. The water is available, but there's something wrong with the water management system. And because of the load shedding, the water can't be pumped to many areas. So they requested something very similar that was requested by Kakamas a few months ago. Kakamas municipality said, look, we have water tankers, but we need to make water available, increased availability, and the only way to do that is put JoJo tanks, which we don't have. And for instant response, we need some bottled water, especially for the old people in the old age homes and for the children when they start school on Monday. So my team landed at 9:30 in Cape Town. 11 o'clock, the trucks left with the team members. They got there this morning. I know there was huge relief when they saw us. We put the JoJo tanks in the areas after the meeting with the mayor and the municipality, where to put the JoJo tanks for maximum need. And then, of course, we discussed a lot of other issues. We put bottled water in the schools for Monday. It's not going to be used today, not tomorrow, but for Monday when the kids go to school. But in the meantime, old age homes and door-to-door deliveries were done where people are old. And I mean, this is not a permanent solution. It's a stopgap, a band-aid solution. We really need to look at something more in-depth, and that's what we did.
Imtiaz, this is indeed a human rights violation because people are entitled to have fresh drinking water. Have you engaged with the government? Have you engaged with the MEC? What are they saying? Why has this water management issue surfaced to the point where 7 people have now died and, if I'm not mistaken, 1 more person is on a ventilator in hospital?
Well, it's the government that called us. It's the local municipality that called us. And, they were honest. The mayor lost his brother this morning. And, buried his brother this morning, not related to the water crisis. And he was the whole day, him and his wife, for the whole day with our teams, very concerned about what they can do or what they can't do. And the problem is twofold. It's not a problem specific in terms of water management to Kakamas. It's happening throughout the country. Since the increased load shedding, and in some areas load reduction, we've been getting many calls, again saying there's water, but there's not enough time for the pumps to fill the reservoirs or to fill the tanks or to deliver the water. So the load shedding is a huge contributor to the non-availability of water. That's the first problem. Mm-hmm. The second problem is that, of course, the infrastructure has been damaged, it's old or not maintained, and that's a problem throughout the country. That's a national problem which government has to fix. The third problem in Kakamas is they don't have any boreholes. But in Kakamas, they do have boreholes. And we met people from there who said, look, they're going to test to see which boreholes are functional, what's required, what can be done, and how much water has to be repaired. They'll give us those assessments on Monday. Another farmer has offered for water from his farm. He's got boreholes. He said he's got absolutely clean, pure water. It's tested all the time. But again, the municipality has a shortage of water tankers. So our call to national government to intervene, or even provincial government, to intervene, and the intervention needs to take place in several forms. One, we may need to drill more boreholes. Number 2, put solar panels on existing boreholes and even on new boreholes. Drilling boreholes and putting them in electricity is not going to work because of the load shedding. Thirdly, they need water tankers. And fourth, of course, they need bottled water for immediate situations like the old age homes and the schools.
Mm-hmm. Imtiaz, have you perhaps engaged with the farm owners? They have now lost several vital farm workers. What are they saying?
They are some of the farm workers or farm owners have said they'll come forward tomorrow. They will speak to us tomorrow. They haven't had a chance to speak to us today. But one of the farm owners, who seems to be well connected in the area, said that he will speak to us tomorrow. And we're waiting for that feedback. We're also speaking to somebody, of people from a company that has big interest in solar panels. And apparently there's a big solar plant in Kakamas. I'm not sure I have the information correct, but there's people who want to say how they can get involved with solar panels. And if that happens, of course, we can make the boreholes fully functional. And we need to see at the farms. I'm not sure if the farms have boreholes, because that will take a huge pressure off the municipality if each farm has its own borehole and can take care of its own farmers or the farm workers, in those farms. So that's additional stuff we have to look into tomorrow. Today it was to get urgently to Kakamas, take the JoJo tanks, take the bottled water, meet the municipality, see what the needs are, to meet people, network, and see what we can do to bring in an effective intervention that, because bottled water is not a permanent solution. It's something very temporary. A borehole without solar panels is not a permanent solution. You've got to have solar panels. And of course, in the long run, they've got to fix the infrastructure, because there is water. There's no shortage of water. There is water. It just can't be delivered.
Imtiaz, often when we see a public outcry and a need for help, we see the gift of the givers at the forefront, being hands-on, helping where they can. How are you funded? How do you continue to make these sort of things happen?
Thank you to corporate South Africa and to the South African public. We have, reserves. We don't wait to raise money. And when crises like this happen, corporates do call us. They monitor what's happening, and they say, look, because we've had a lot of interventions recently. First, we had the big fire in Tebreha, where we sent in helicopters and planes and fire teams, water tankers, water trucks, open boreholes. It was a huge cost. And then on 24th of December was a tanker explosion in Boksburg. We got involved there in the memorial service, providing items for the patients, medical equipment, medical supplies, and and water and those kind of things. Then we got involved in the memorial for the families. We got involved in the memorial for the hospital staff. And soon after that, there were 9 fires in Cape Town, which were involved in. And then a problem similar to what's happening in Kakamas. Of course, nobody's passed on in the Graafrenet and Karoo area. Again, water crisis related to non-functioning pumps. Reservoirs can't work because of load shedding and load reduction. And all these things are now at Kakamas and Kenard, all requiring assistance. We're fortunate that we have reserves. We're fortunate that the public comes forward. We're fortunate that the corporates call us, and we're fortunate that people are generous and make things available in cash and in kind.
Just lastly, Imtiaz, we heard, and the latest reports were that 7 people had died and 1 person was currently on a ventilator. Can you just give us maybe an update on how that person is doing and what the latest details are with regards to that, if you may?
No, 7 people have passed on. There's nobody on the ventilator now.
Okay.
There's 2 people in the hospital. My teams went to visit them. They're doing fairly well. They should be discharged soon. There's no feedback of any other person, who's suffering from dehydration. And whilst we're talking about that, it's important that the community make sure they are well hydrated. Stay out of the sun, as far as possible, and make sure you're well hydrated. Your children have to be well hydrated. This is a major crisis. 45 degrees, the temperature gets any worse or higher, it's going to be a bigger problem. So hydration is critical. The good news is that the hospital has enough water reserves. I don't know where they're getting it from, but they have a huge water tank, and they said they're fine. So that's a huge benefit that the hospital in the area is fine. Whoever can and make water tankers available, the water tankers will be a great use to the municipality. If more JoJo tanks can be provided, that will also be a great use to the people in the area. And of course, as I said, dealing with the solar people and maybe drilling more boreholes. That's the definite intervention that will make a huge difference and will prevent any further deaths.
Imtiaz, if people do want to reach out and assist, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get involved? How do they help?
Our details are on our social media pages. Our toll-free line, which won't work now, is 0800 786 911. You can call us on Monday. But if you want to send messages on our Facebook pages, you can do that immediately, and we will find and respond to that immediately.
Thank you very much, Imtiaz, and amazing work done as always. That was Imtiaz Sooliman from the Gift of the Givers, assisting in the Northern Cape in Kakamas, where 7 farm workers have unfortunately passed away due to dehydration. Imtiaz stating that there's an issue with the water management system in the area. There is water, but that management system is currently having an issue. They have now supplied water bottles and JoJo tanks as well, and the Gift of the Givers encourages everyone to step forward if you can assist, to just have a look at their website and find out how you can help as well.